The saying that if the left didn't have double standards, they would have no standards just rings truer every single day. And I say that because now federal officials and former federal officials are very concerned about Kash Patel's confirmation. They're afraid that he's going to go after them because he's got a list of 50 or so, because there may be more than 50, but they're just naming 50 government gangsters. And they're very concerned that they're going to come after him. Much like they went after Trump. Much like they convicted him of a felony. Many felonies, actually. Much like they raided his home in Mar-a-Lago about classified documents. They didn't do the same to Biden, but they did to Trump. Much like they investigated him in Georgia and pushed lawsuits that were dropped. Much like they had a special prosecutor investigating him who dropped everything. Almost like, they did the same damn thing. Now, I'm not saying that the government should be, or the government should be weaponized. It shouldn't be. We shouldn't politicize the Department of Justice. We shouldn't weaponize the government. But also, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And it feels very disingenuous to say, we can go after Trump, but Trump can't come after us. And it's good when we go after Trump, but it's very bad when Trump comes after us. But that's essentially what they're trying to say. I mean, CNN is spinning this hardcore, saying that, essentially portraying that Trump is a bad man and Kash Patel is a bad man because he's going to go after these innocent government workers who tried to undermine Trump and who testified against him in his impeachment hearings and who prosecuted him and who pushed for prosecutions. But he's a bad man. It's wild, man. Like, these people are stupid. It's disgusting that, first off, they think that they need security, which, I mean, it makes sense to some degree because, their argument is that if they do actually go after us and people think that that's what Trump wants, crazy people will come after us and will try to kill us. It's like, almost like 3 people tried to assassinate Donald Trump. The man was shot in the head. I mean, obviously he got shot in the ear, but still, that's being shot in the head. And yet, when they were going after Trump, when they were saying that Trump is literally Hitler and then saying Trump is worse than Hitler and so on and so forth, essentially equating Trump to the Antichrist or the devil incarnate, it's kind of strange that they didn't think about the fact that Trump might be assassinated or there might be attempts on Trump's life, right? Except maybe they did and they wanted that to happen. But regardless, once again, we've got these double standards because it's fine whenever Trump is endangered. It's fine whenever Trump is prosecuted. It's fine whenever Trump is persecuted. But God forbid that these federal employees be persecuted or prosecuted or, that crazy people go after them, which that part is bad. Don't go after people. That's a very bad thing to do. Don't do it. It's stupid. But regardless, double standards, man. Why is it okay to do it to Trump, but not okay to do it to these people? It makes no damn sense, man. Anyway, from CNN, people on Kash Patel's so-called enemies list taking drastic steps for protection before his potential FBI takeover. One of the people on Kash Patel's list of corrupt actors from the deep state is taking the drastic step of moving their family before Patel's potential confirmation to lead the FBI. The individual granted anonymity to speak freely about security measures decided to relocate in the coming weeks and is taking other steps to keep their new home purchase anonymous. They said they're doing this because they are afraid Patel might weaponize the FBI against them or use this platform to inspire others to take action. After being doxxed several years ago, we were tired of dealing with the constant anxiety of always needing to look over our shoulders, the person told CNN. Everyone deserves to have safety and security at home. Moving and taking precautions to keep our address anonymous will feel like a weight lifted. The list in question appears as an appendix at the end of Patel's 2023 book, Government Gangsters. It names more than 50 current or former U.S. officials that he claims are members of the executive branch deep state, which he describes as a dangerous threat to democracy. Some of these people are now taking dramatic measures to protect themselves and their families, according to interviews with nearly a dozen people on Patel's list or who fear they'll be scrutinized by the Patel-run FBI. The list includes a blend of high-profile figures and lesser-known officials who might be more vulnerable if Patel pursues retribution. You're referring to the glossary of a book, Patel spokeswoman Erica Knight said of the list of names in Patel's book. Kash Patel will follow the Constitution and enforce the law to take criminals off our streets, fight violent crime, and put an end to the deadly fentanyl crisis. Any notion of retribution is false and absurd. See, the wildest part, though, is that they went after Trump so hard, and Trump allies, Trump lawyers, for Christ's sake, which you cannot go after lawyers the way they did, and yet they did it, right? And yet it's a bad thing whenever Trump goes after them because it is wrong, it is evil, it is bad. So much so that Pam Bondi had to assure senators in her confirmation hearings that the Department of Justice will not be weaponized, will not go after anyone. And yet, It was weaponized by the last administration, but it wasn't bad then. It was okay then because they were going after Trump. It was all fine, all well and good. But now it's bad because now they're not going after Trump because Trump is going after them, and that is not okay. That is just wrong, 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 morally and ethically wrong, as they would say. Nevertheless, another person on Patel's list, who's a former U.S. official, said they've spoken to former colleagues who worked in the federal government and also fear being targeted by the Trump administration, and are considering moving their assets into their partner's name and taking other steps to guard their financial accounts in anticipation of lawsuits and legal harassment. Pretty sure that's illegal, because I know in the case of Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and the IRS, any attempts to hide or disguise your assets is a felony. So I don't know, man. I don't know the legality of that, but I'm pretty sure that's illegal. So, there's a thing there. Most Republicans have closed ranks around Patel to support his nomination, despite his years-long embrace of pro-Trump deep state conspiracy theories and his public vows to seek retribution against President Donald Trump's perceived political enemies. See, this is what the media will do. They will call it a conspiracy theory, and yet they will also confirm that it exists. Because from the New York Times, we have, which obviously they're not going to let me fucking see it, it turns out the deep state is actually kind of awesome. So, it's kind of interesting that they confirm that it exists, but still call it a conspiracy theory. I guess they just call it what they want whenever it works for them. Congressional Democrats have repeatedly criticized Patel for what they call an enemies list, a label Trump allies have disputed. To the contrary, Trump has argued that going after some of these people is a key element of ending the weaponization of the federal government, because he believes these people wrongly targeted him during his first presidency. At Attorney General nominee Pam Boendi's confirmation hearing earlier this month, Democratic lawmakers accused Patel of having an enemies list at least 6 times, and the topic is sure to come up at his own hearing. Patel has even compiled an enemies list of government gangsters to target, Senator Dick Durbin, the top Democrat on the Senate Judiciary Committee, said, later adding his enemies list, what he calls his government gangsters. This is what you expect of Stasi. This is what you expect of secret police. Is the Stasi and secret police when they went after Trump? Sources say yes, but apparently it's wrong whenever Trump fights back. Bondi told lawmakers there will never be an enemies list within the Department of Justice, and at least one Democratic Senator, John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, said Patel assured him during a private meeting that he won't go after Trump's enemies. Trump has already started his own efforts to exact retribution, epically, mind you. Within hours of taking office, the president signed an executive order revoking the security clearances of 51 former intelligence officials who signed a 2020 letter arguing that emails from Hunter Biden's infamous laptop could be Russian-made disinformation. No, say it truly. They didn't say it could be. They say it was. They said it had all the hallmarks of it. Don't sanitize this shit just because you're wrong. The Justice Department under President Joe Biden later said the laptop was authentic. Only after the damage was done, mind you. Because there was a Gallup poll that said 15% of people would have voted differently if they knew about the laptop. But, whatever. Trump also swiftly revoked the clearance of his former National Security Advisor, John Bolton, and he removed the security detail of Bolton, who left the Trump White House in November 2019, and has received U.S. Secret Service protection because of the threats against him from Iran. Trump also terminated the security detail for Dr. Anthony Fauci, a target of Trump's ire since the COVID-19 pandemic. The existence of Patel's deep state list, and the apparent green light from the commander-in-chief to seek retribution, has left many afraid with a range of emotions. Charles Cooperman, a former National Security Advisor and Bolton ally, told CNN that Patel's public list makes him unqualified to lead the FBI. Bullshit. Bolton and Cooperman are both on the list at the end of Patel's book. Well, conflict of interest there. His professional experience does not meet the leadership, management, or character standards required. Open or veiled threats to those who do not support his confirmation is completely unacceptable and inappropriate, Cooperman said. Most of the people on Patel's list of corrupt members of the deep state are high-profile individuals who are expected Republican investigative targets, including Biden and former Vice President Kamala Harris. But the expansive list includes several lower-level civil servants, most of whom are now private citizens, who might not have the same security protections or legal resources available to them if the Trump administration decides to make them a target. Apparently it didn't matter for Trump, though. Many of the current and former officials on the list were connected to the Trump-Russia investigation stemming from the 2016 election, which was horseshit, mind you. And that has been proven. Others were one-time Trump loyalists who refused to do his bidding at the Justice Department or the FBI, so they broke the law. Is that what you're saying? They broke the law and they didn't do their job. Huh. Maybe they should be prosecuted, because obviously they're doing illegal things. But, Some were civil servants who testified against Trump to Congress during his first impeachment. Another individual on Patel's list said, "I'm not concerned about Kash coming after me. He would get no bang out of it. And there are so many bigger fish to fry, whether on his list or others." The anticipation of Patel's confirmation has caused a flurry of preventative actions from the subset of lesser-known people, and others who aren't named on the list but expect to be targeted by the new Justice Department for their public opposition to Trump. Much of this list is going to be unreachable. So who is on next year? It's folks in the good government community, people that did everything they could to hold Trump accountable, and that's what they keep on doing. They keep on saying they were holding Trump accountable, when in fact they were just trying to prevent him from being president. But whatever. Including for the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol, an individual who runs a nonprofit that led anti-Trump efforts in 2024 told CNN. See, and it's wild to me that they keep on protecting these people. They refuse to name anyone because they know that they're bad people. They know that they're against the will of the people, but apparently that's a good thing whenever the will of the people is not in the correct direction for them. That nonprofit has retained outside lawyers for the first time to help prepare for potential criminal investigations and criminal oversight from Trump's GOP allies. It's not cheap, the person said. The group is also trying to crack down on staffers, texting, and internal paper trails that might be problematic if they're subpoenaed and become public by enforcing stricter guidelines to prevent people from being cavalier in emails and text. Before Biden left office, he took the unprecedented stamp of granting preemptive pardons to some of the people Trump has repeatedly threatened to prosecute and imprison, which now means that they are not protected by the Fifth Amendment, so they have to admit to things when they're asked. The last 100 pardons were granted to, among other people, the Democratic and Republican lawmakers who served on the House Select January 6 committee, the staff of the Select Committee, and the police officers who were testified to the committee. So let's stop here. Let's talk about this, and then we'll end it there, right? So let me just say that all these people who are pardoned by Biden, it's not a question of whether or not. Isn't it a question of when they're investigated? Because they have to be now. You have to do it. Because they cannot use the Fifth Amendment to protect them from self-incrimination because they've been pardoned. And so whenever they are investigated, they have to tell the truth about this because they can't perjure themselves, obviously. And so we will have confirmation about what happened. Because if they tell us something and it's not true, well, then now they perjured themselves and now that pardon goes out the window. Not about the things that they've done, but about the perjury. Because the perjury happened after the fact, and they go to jail for that, or they get held in contempt of Congress for that. Although one might assume that the same thing will happen to them that happened to Merrick Garland, which is to say absolutely fucking nothing. But regardless, we need accountability in the government. They said they were trying to hold Trump accountable. Well, now we need to hold them accountable. Because apparently it's only okay to weaponize the Justice Department and weaponize the federal government against against Donald Trump. But whenever we do it to them, we're bad people, and it's just so terrible. These people are stupid, man. I hope these people are held accountable. I hope they are all investigated and held accountable to the fullest extent of the law, and we'll see what happens, man. Either way, that's enough about that. Next segment's coming up tomorrow morning, or tomorrow in general. Make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and we'll see you all then.